Good morning, everybody. My name is Stephen Vaughn Chang, and it's too early for all this. Seriously. I've been up all night editing video, and I'm not done yet, but I did create an intro and an outro, and I'm excited for you guys to see it. I know that we spent a lot of time I spend a lot of time, I don't know about you, I spend a lot of time viewing content, whether it's live streaming, YouTube. A lot of us spend a lot of time in the social medias, right? It always amazes me at the ability of some of these content creators to come up with cool, exciting things. I'm on a journey to show you some cool, exciting things. Hopefully explain to you guys how I did it. This is just a test run, really. One of the things that first amazed me, or that really catches my mind or eye sometimes, a lot of times, is when I scroll across artistic ability. I love music, as you can tell. I inherited the ability to draw and see things and put it down on pen and paper. This day and age, I have a freaking tablet that I can draw and paint on, and it's kind of cool. I've seen people create like Tupac out of salt on a table. I mean, you name it. The Joker from The Dark Knight. I asked a friend who is also a model. I asked her for if I could draw her, like, what's his name? Jack draws Rose in the Titanic. She obliged, and so she sent me a couple headshots. I picked one, and so here's my journey into this awesome thing. Hopefully you enjoy it. I do stream. I don't have a schedule yet, to be completely honest with you. I stream video games. I make GIFs. I make memes. Hopefully this channel, I can display some of that cool stuff for you and how to create it. To be honest with you, I wish I recorded the whole thing on this awesome intro you just saw. If you're interested in seeing how I created it, just make sure you hit the like button, that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, all that good stuff. And if you have any questions, follow me on Twitch. The link is right there. Like I said, I stream in the evenings throughout the week, mostly weekends. Come by, say hi, ask me some questions. Come get to know me. I'd love to get to know you guys. Thanks again, and then hopefully you enjoy.
So here we are. Here is the picture I am trying to draw. And I started off with a base face shape. I just sketched it in, and I realized by the end I did it all wrong. Maybe as an amateur, if I was just drawing a face, I could draw a face. But when you're trying to actually do a portrait of somebody, I realized I went totally backwards. So I started with the face. I go into eye. I do the hair, just get the base shading and give me some shape to work with. And then as I work with the eye, I realize I have to build off the eye. And so I start doing some shading, and I discover this tortilla stump. And in real life, the tortilla stump, you're able to take graphite or pencil and draw it out and shade it in and kind of blend a little bit better. But I realized that in this application, it's more like a paintbrush. This is really hard to control the actual blendingness, and it's almost easier in real life being able to switch from pencil to tortilla stump, pencil to tortilla stump, opposed to just having the stump out at all times. And I'm getting used to it, but I'm working on the eye. I like eyes, and she has beautiful eyes, right, guys? And as I finish the eye, and I'm trying to get the rest of the shape and shading down. And so as I discovered the stump earlier, I'm like, okay, let me just use the stump, see if I can get the whole face and shading down. And not 100% happy with the eye, so I go back at it. That's one time. I think I go at it a handful of times, and it's the main focal point that I started with, right? And so if I would have done that without drawing the rest of the head, I probably would have been in really good shape. But I'm focused in on certain sections of the face, and I'm drawing and shading to each of those sections without seeing the image as a whole. And that's my downfall at the end. So you see, I think it probably took me 3 or 4 total hours as I look at recording time to get the complete picture done. I did it over the span of a few days, which was great because it got me away from video games. And here you go, the shading. What's really tough and just the difference between like being an artist and drawing is that like getting depth and structure and using the darkness of your graphite. I'm using a pencil to project that and portray that on a 2D surface. And so it's really important. And mind you guys, I haven't picked up a paintbrush, I haven't picked up a pencil, I hadn't drawn anything in ages, maybe 8 years. It's been forever since I've actually drawn, and here I am back at the eye and back at the shading and trying to get it perfect. Hey, if I can get this eye, I can go on and move on to the rest of the face. And it's crazy because I keep going back to this thing because I know that if I can get this right, I can get the rest of it right. And spoiler alert, there's a lot more wrong with this picture than the eye. The eye has actually been perfect the multiple times I've drawn it to proportion, but again, the rest of the face, because I drew the head first without, measuring or a grid or anything. I'm trying to fit these pieces in to a puzzle that's just not anatomically correct. But the cool thing is I'm getting the experience of drawing it and the shading and working with the tools and how this application works. This application is great. I have the Sketch app. This is the Sketch app. I also have Procreate. I actually really enjoy the Sketch app. It was actually a breeze to work with. And first I went with structure and like shape. Now I'm going off of shading and to create my shape, and like that nose is just not right. I can look at it right now. I'm like, ugh, dude, what are you doing, dude? But the one thing I am doing is I'm zooming in. I have her picture open on another device as I'm drawing each section, and so I am referencing her picture as I'm doing it, and so I'm correcting what I can. And the great thing about getting again that shade, the shading right, and the depth right, is that even though I change the shape, I change the size, I do all those different things, the shading technique that I learned the first time in the process, it doesn't change. And so once I correct, I'm able to go right back in and get the shading just right. And that eraser is an amazing tool on the Sketch app. And if you guys watch any other YouTubers, when they use that white pen, white charcoal, white color pencil, the eraser, it really pops that image out, and it takes the image from just a 2D image and really creates this sense of depth and reflection to a realistic sense. And that eyeball, if you just zoom into that eyeball, it looks pretty real, but the rest of the face isn't quite there. And so that's what I'm actually working on right now with these light pencil strokes. I'm getting that shading in there. I'm creating that depth. And even though it looks like her sister and not her, there's like structure there, there's depth there. There's a realistic sense to it, and it's still sketchy, so it kind of looks almost cartoonish right now. I'd like to think that when I get done with it, it looks a little bit more realistic. But again, I'm working on the structure and getting the cheekbones and the face just right. And the shadows, and casting the shadows. The eye that I had originally drawn was too small, and so I had to make it just a little bit larger there, bring it over. And like that right side of the face, the shading's pretty good. And as I'm trying to get the rest of the shading, I'm looking at it now, and the bridge of that nose is just too wide. I got too much of a gap, and I gotta fix it. Boom, here we go. Let's go back to the eye. Let's erase it. Let's do it all over again. And it's crazy because that's the first thing I started with, right? And now once I get the rest of the puzzle put together, I'm realizing this puzzle piece is just wrong. And so I tried it again. I erased it again. And I'm trying it again. And so I'm getting the shading first down before I put all the work into actually making that eyeball look realistic. And I start all over again. Yeah, it's drawing's not easy. But like I said, I am realizing the proportion opposed to the rest of the picture rather than just the eyeball itself, which I've now had drawn 4 times, so it's a little bit easier for me to go right back in there, get the shading just right if I can get the size and location right. And so if anybody's gonna try to draw, I definitely would start with the eye set first and get that right. Work on the nose. Don't even touch the rest of the face, the hair, because as you see, like I'm looking at cheekbones and I'm looking at jawline and I'm like, man, this is wrong. And I'm looking at the hairline. I'm like, this is totally too short. It's stumpy. And now I have to elongate it. And I'm like proportionally, that forehead was too shallow, and I gotta lengthen it a little bit. I'm not saying she has a big forehead. It's a beautiful forehead, but it, compared to the picture, what I had drawn, like I said, it was her ugly sister or something. And what I'm referencing right now is like there's a shadow on her forehead. There's light shining through on the limb that goes right across, and so if I can get that right, I can get that depth right, and the rest of it kind of falls in place actually fairly well. And I really like how the eraser, it creates those stray hairs that come off and add that depth, that realistic feel. And adjust that eye, yeah, it's pretty good. Nope, the length on the chin needs adjustment, and so luckily I kind of shortcut it. I take the tortilla stump, I bring everything down, and I just run a pencil over it, and that's my final picture. I didn't do the hand, I didn't do the background, the model of the face. That was the aim, and I actually enjoyed that. So if you guys are watching this, you'd like me to draw you, I'd love to. You know what? Give me your pictures. I'd love to draw it. And this is totally different from the content that I've normally created with PUBG and video games. So it's kind of neat to do something else. Not saying that I won't be doing some of that stuff on this page later, but I enjoyed this drawing. like, subscribe, and we'll catch you later.
The last name is Tai, and it's pronounced Vongshen, but I say Von Chang. Say it with me, guys. Von Chang.